Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Look what we got. Another one. John Deere STX38. If you've seen my other videos, I think there was a two-part video on another different STX38. That one's since been sold. Customer is extremely happy with it, which is good news. This one here is pretty well sold already. I haven't even looked at it yet. The customer is very interested in it. Kind of in a hurry for it. I already know the bearings in the deck are good, the blades are good, they just need to be sharpened. I got a few things I got to tweak on it. We seem to have an alignment problem where that tire's straight and this tire's off in the left field there. So we're going to set that alignment up, we'll grease the spindles. It's got a fresh oil change already, fresh oil filter. It's got non-adjustable valve train, so we don't need to do that. We're going to, it's got a half tank fresh gas in it. We're just going to go over it for tune-up. Probably put a new spark plug in it, new air filter, new fuel filter. It's got a brand new battery in it. I think this customer is going to do okay. The brakes don't work, so we're going to look at that. And the lifting mechanism where this goes up and down, it's stiff and it's bindy, so I think it just needs lube. It may need a small part, but it's kind of a weird roller on a ramp setup back here with the way that the John Deere rear levers work. So, yeah, I think we're going to be pretty quick on this one, maybe. Anyways, before I go too much further, I'm not sure if everybody watches till the end of my videos. There's a little splash there at the very end of the videos, but now's your chance. Before we get involved here and before we get all carried away with ourselves, now is your chance to click that like button. If you haven't yet, click the subscribe and the bell icon as well to let you know when I upload new videos. So I'm going to move on with the tractor. I'm going to drop the deck, take the all the hangers off, and take the blade off, the belt, and I'll whip the deck out of there. We'll flip it upside down. I'm going to give it a good scrape and oil spray, and we're going to sharpen and balance the blades. And we'll move on to whatever I feel like next. And once the blade is, the deck is off, then we can better access the braking system. I'll probably end up pulling that rear wheel off too because the brakes are in behind it. Might be able to get a shot of them. The brake system is right, well, that's the lever for it anyways. Lever system. There we go. So the lever's moving, the spring is moving, but I don't know, something ain't moving because the brakes aren't stopping. The tractor keeps moving. Alright, we'll get some stuff gathered, get you in a stand, we'll dive in. We'll probably do the real quick tune-up stuff first. I'll pull there's two hood springs that hold that hood securely to the bars. I'll pull the springs off, we'll pull the hood off, then we can get underneath there and then all of us can fit in there and we'll see what's going on. Actually, before we get too far away from the fuel system, there's one more thing I wanted to do. Is I wanted to pull the bowl off the carburetor and make sure there's no crap and corruption in there. Oh yeah, it's zip tied. Just want to drop the bowl, dump out any crap that's in there. Tractor does run fine. I don't need to rebuild it. Well, I haven't seen any evidence that I needed to rebuild it yet. We'll find out. So, this is the fuel shutoff solenoid. Sometimes they get sticky, sometimes they get full of stuff, sometimes they don't open, sometimes they don't close, sometimes they're just a pain. But well, that's also what holds the bowl on, so get in there. It's a very thin 1/2 inch, so I just took a wrench and ground it thin to get the access to go in there. Oh, the bowl's just coming right off. Unscrew. There's our little solenoid there. The little plunger moves up and down. It's supposed to. This one doesn't move up. That's good, because they're problematic sometimes. Well, it's not too bad in there. Got a little bit of floaties, but nothing serious. Like I said, the thing ran great, so I'm not really concerned. with a problem in there. I just wanted to make sure that nothing's going to be an issue in the future. So we'll give it a little wipe. I'm going to wipe her out with a paper towel. I'll wipe the surface right where the gasket sits, just the ring there. And we'll just fire that back on. Like I said, I'm not concerned with this solenoid being stuck down. Stuck down, the tractor will still run. If it's stuck up, it ain't gonna run. You're not gonna get any fuel. We'll slide that bowl back in there. Nice, nice. Check for a gasket. There's a gasket on this. That's what stops the bowl from self-emptying all over the tractor. That's good. I'll just snug it down. Doesn't have to be gorilla tight. Good and snug. We'll get this wire hooked back on there just for, well, just for appearances, it appears, because it ain't doing anything. That's fine. Like I said, doesn't need to do that. Carburetors for ever and ever never had those. Some machines call it an anti-backfire valve. Some call it just a fuel shutoff valve. I call it a solenoid, but that's that. So moving away from the fuel system now, other than removing the tank, that's all we have to do to the fuel system. Like I said, the spark plug is new. That's good. And something just caught my eye. Let's see if I can get you in there. See this fuzziness? That's underneath that cover. It's up underneath the top cover of the engine. So, looks like top cover's coming off. I want to make sure that it's clear, that there's no grass and everything built up around the cylinder head, and I just can't see in there. We could be okay, but I want to make sure. So, top cover will be coming off at some point. Might as well do it now. No time like the present. I'll reset your stand, get you guys a nice angle to view at, and we'll get that cover taken off. Okay, we got a few bolts to take off. Got an 8mm here. Another one here. Another one on the dipstick tube. That's a longer one. Remember that. There will be a quiz later. Let's take these two off the starter shield. We'll just put it to the side with the starter shield. Doesn't look like I had to take it off, but maybe be a little easier to get things lined up going down. Back onto the motor. 8mm on there. One's supposed to be there missing. One's supposed to be there. It's missing. Not sure if there's one in behind the air cleaner, but we'll find out shortly. Remember, long one goes in the dipstick tube. We'll just turn that tube to the side. See if we can wiggle the cover off. Actually, there feels like there's another one in there. Maybe. Oh, take the electrical connector off the side there. Well, there's another one somewhere. We'll take these off. Have a look underneath there. This little ring. Well, not that size. Nope. Smaller bolts. 7mm maybe? Seven millimeter or 9/32 for the Americans watching. I know you guys use millimeters down there too. Well, that didn't do it. We got it. Forgot from the last Kohler I had apart. This grass screen actually goes on top of the cover. So you gotta pull the ring off that we took off, then you gotta pull this off, and then the cover slides out. However, the air cleaner is actually hooked slightly underneath there on this one, so I did need to remove it. Gives me opportunity to check that crank key, make sure it's in one piece and not shifted. Yep, looks good. Now we can slide the cover off, making sure we don't hook the dipstick and rip that out of the motor because it'll drop oil all over the floor. There we go, free and clear. That needs a little bit of a cleaning. But this is what I wanted to see. Let's get you out of your stand. I like that quick disconnect. This goop, I want to clean that. It's not too crazy in the cooling fins. There's a little bit built up there, but now is the time to clean all that rubbish out of there to make sure that it's going to function fine for us. Let's turn this around. Check our coil gap. I don't know if you guys can see down in there. Gap looks good. Looks all right. Yep, a little bit of dirt in there. We'll clean that out. That'll make sure that it runs nice. See, it's losing its flow of coolant or of air through here. It's air cooled, so you need to have the flow to get it cool. So we'll clean that garbage out of there and get it ready. That's a good thing we took it off. Okay, so when I was blowing out the fins on the engine, I just got it all back together. I blew all the dust out, poked it with a stick, and I used compressed air to clear all that crap out. But I noticed some insulation started flying around, so I decided to pull the gas tank out and have a look. That's full. Full of rodent nest. It's all pink insulation. The cavity, the entire cavity on the one side under the fuel tank was full of mouse nest. So I'm going to pick that out of there, and I want to get some work done on that steering, see if I can tighten it up a little bit. And I'll turn the camera back on once I get all that stuff dug out of there. Well, somebody's going to be homeless. Alright, so we've got that back together, got the fuel tank back on. All the rodent nest is pulled out and stuck in a bag. It's quite a bit of it actually, filled a shopping bag. We're not going to do anything with the steering. It's still working just fine. We are going to grease up the front spindles and everything to make sure that those work okay. I've already got the deck off, pulled the blades off, sharpened and balanced them. Deck's in nice shape. There's a little slice in it here, but it's nothing major. There's no rot. And those blades are big, thick, beefy ones. They're heavy duty, those ones. There isn't even a whole bunch of buildup under there. It's not too bad at all. So we're going to lubricate all the lift points, make sure that everything's working smoothly. It's a spring-loaded lifter actually, so it is very easy to lift the deck up. It's kind of neat actually. Alright, I'll get the deck back under there, get that put back together, and I think there's a breaker at the back near the battery that I've got to work on. It's underneath the seat. It's got a bad connection, so it's an intermittent start, so that's all it is. If I wiggle those wires, it works fine, so I'm going to repair that and make it more reliable. So we get you in a stand, get some things going on. I'm actually in a bit of a rush on this tractor. I got to get it done. So I'm not being very detail oriented when it comes to videoing it. I just basically jump. So I'm going to cut this scene. The next scene you see is going to be the deck is already on and the belts are on and everything. And we're going to tear into the electrical under the seat and see what's going on under there. Okay, changed my mind. Remember, we were going to take the deck off and we were going to take the wheel off and we're going to look at the brake system. When I was to pull the wheel off, it was just a plastic cap and then a snap ring here. Snap ring pliers, take a little ring off, wheel slides off, and pay attention to this key. If this key falls out of that shaft, the tractor won't drive when you put it back together. Anyways, this is where we're at. So there's a rod. I'm not sure if you can see it. There's a rod right here. When you push on the brake pedal, it pulls the rod, actuates this arm, and is supposed to apply pressure to a disc, a little pad that pushes against this disc on the transaxle. There's absolutely no resistance there at all. So I'm not sure what's going on. This looks a little bent, a little mangled. I see maybe a half a washer or something in here. I think maybe it had an impact at one point and bent some stuff. So we're going to start taking it apart and have a look. We're going to pull this cotter pin out first, and that'll allow us to get that brake rod out of the way. There we go. Vice grip fingers, a washer, and that rod should slide out of the way, out of the bracket. There we go. And nice, the return spring is going to hold it out of the way for us. Well, that ain't actuating bugger all. Actually, if I push it farther than its normal travel, it works. May just need an adjustment. We're going to take it apart anyways because I want to see what's going on with this broken looking thing. Let's see what's underneath that. I believe that's bent. I think it's supposed to be straighter than that. So I'm going to grab a socket and a little Impacto and get that off. So does that look like you? 13? Half inch? 13 mil? Or try 13. You're right, it's 13. Okay. Little strap looking thingy. Okay, that's a lock. So basically it works on a ramp system. When you pull this in, a ramp pushes against the brake pad. So let's get that 10mm out of there so we can get the little safety strap out. Maybe I haven't had to do one of these before. There's a chance if I had just tightened this nut, it possibly would have just started working. But I want to see what's under there. I want to see why this is broken. There's our safety strap. There's our half a washer. Yeah, it doesn't look like a shim. It looks like a broken piece. Some crud and corruption in there. Huh. I don't want to take it all apart. So this was on like so. It is supposed to be bent because that's your ramp. So that's the high point here, and as you turn it, it ramps against these two pins and pushes in. I think I could have just tightened it. Yeah. Well, let's try it. Doesn't hurt to try it. Let's get this piece back in there. There we go. Get that lock snug down. Let's not worry about that for now. Anyways, let's just see what happens. Let's get the rod back in there. Put our washer on. We'll drop the pin in from the top if we can, just so it doesn't fall out. I don't need to bend it yet. If this works, then we'll just bend it. Like putting cotter pins in from the top anyways. If something happens, they don't want to fall out. They won't fall up, they'll fall down. Let's loosen that off just a little. If I can move the disc by fingers, put the brake on, it stops. Ha! Son of a gun. It's a self-locking nut, so it should stay where we put it. Now there's a procedure to test this. You're supposed to be on a certain slope incline. Stop the tractor, put the brake on, and then it should be able to hold at that incline. So I don't want any drag on this. Hang on a second, let me get this pulled back over. There we go. I don't want any drag on the disc, but I want enough pressure when I apply the brake that it stops. We gotta have a starting point. This is easily adjusted with the tire on. You just can't see it very easy. I can just reach underneath here with this little socket and turn that if I need to. Well, there we go. It's better. I think it'll be alright. I'm going to go just a hair tighter. We'll try that. I'll bend that cotter pin so we know it's going to stay in its home. That's good enough. Yeah, we'll try that. Just never out of adjustment. But like I said, I hadn't actually taken one of these apart yet, so it looked bent. It is bent on purpose. That's your ramp. That's your cam action. As this moves forward, it pushes those pins and applies pressure to the brake pad, which is inside here, and squeezes on the disc. Huh. Pretty straightforward. We'll get the wheel back on there, and then I'll put the disc on there, and then we should be good. So, just gonna back you guys up just a little. Here we are. So the keyway has to line up in a slot on the wheel. There we go. Oh yeah, get on there. Came off easy. Uh-huh. There's a grease fitting here. I'll make sure to grease that when I get it back together. Come on, get in your home. Oh yeah, see how easy it is? Then the keyway slid, and now the tractor's sliding off the jack, so I got to reset this thing before it ends up on the floor. The whole tractor will be sideways. Just going to clean that shaft down. I'm going to put some grease on it anyways. I think the key is... the wheel's literally slid right off easy. Something is holding it. I'll get a rag and clean it. It's always something. If I know I'm going to be putting grease on something and I need to clean old grease off, I use Penetrator now. It takes old grease off really easy. You don't want brake clean in there because you want a lubricant. So I use Penetrator oil and it works really, really good. Clean the top of that keyway. Literally, the wheel just slid off. It was easy. Now it's just fighting me going back on. Put a little penetrator on it. Try it again. Oh, come on. There we go. Just needed some convincing. Now the axle slid over far enough that I can't, it's not enough to get the tire on. Can't get that clip on it. Almost. What I'm looking for is that shaft's got to stick out of there far enough that I can get the snap ring back on the end of the axle shaft. Alright, let's try that. Snap ring pliers, snap ring. Oh yeah. It's not behaving. It's not behaving. It's got to go on a little bit more. Just a little. So what I'm doing, I'm pushing on the other side. On the other wheel. Make sure the axle slides this way. Gotta make sure that clip goes in there. The tire will fall off. Oh, so close. Alright, let me mess with that. I need more hands and I need more room, so you guys are in the way. You gotta watch out. Hang on. Got it. I just rotated the tire on the axle, came this way a little bit on its gear, and just tapped the tire and pushed the clip on there, went on. So it's on there nice. Spins around in its groove, tire doesn't come off. Massive hubcap. So, yeah. Yeah, seems to work. Seems to work okay. We'll see. We'll see how the brakes work. Might need to adjust it. Don't know yet. Okay, so now I can put the grease on all the lift points and then put the deck back on. Okay, so while I was rolling around into the tractor, I found this pin is worn almost completely through. What it is the Pto clutch slides up from the bottom. There's a hole in the side of the clutch that this pin fits into. And what that does is it locates the clutch stationary so it doesn't spin around and around and around. The clutch stays solid, but over time they wear because it vibrates back and forth and it will wear it out. So when I can buy this piece, well, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill it. I'm going to weld it. I'm going to fill that up with weld. And yeah, put all the material back in that was in it. So I'm going to use some steel filler rod. We'll fill her up and see what happens. I'm not going to video it because this camera does not take welding video very well. So I'll show you the finished product. Okay, so all I did was I took the TIG welder, set to about 80 amps or so, 85 amps. And I just held the tungsten over the gap, created my puddle, and I just basically just fed wire into it to fill up that hole. That was a nice job actually, really, really nice. It's a precise weld, much cleaner than flux, and it'll do just fine. That's nice and hard now. So what I'll do is now I'll take just a small grinder and make it smooth, make it fit in the hole in the PTO, and bolt her back on. Hardest part of this job is going to be get the clutch spring back on. That's got some stress on it. So, all right, I'm going to get that ground down, smoothed up, and get it back on the tractor. Okay, so there's the electric Pto clutch. This pulley here is what drives the mower deck, and the transaxle drive belt is above it. It's not controlled by the clutch. Anyways, see the rock there? See if I can actually get the camera steady. There we go. That rock was a lot more than that before. This is the pin and we welded up. That locates the clutch. Good thing we found it, because if that had broken off with the blades engaged, this entire unit would have spun around and around and around, stuck to the crankshaft. Would have tore everything off, and these are not cheap. These are anywhere from $250 to $350. So this one's actually new. Somebody's replaced it. That's good. That's good. Customer that buys this machine is going to get a brand new Pto clutch. Okay, so we need to get the alignment a little better. For some reason, the one wheel is facing outwards, so there is no adjustment in these tie rods. Are you focused? There you go. Sorry for the little bit of shaky camera. I got it in my left hand and I'm laying down on the ground here. So there's no adjustment in the tie rods. What we need to do is essentially make this tie rod shorter in order to pull the wheel in at the front. So the right side wheel needs to be towed in. So what we're going to do is we're going to oval out this hole just a little bit so the tie rod can move back some. And once we get it adjusted where we need, I'm going to put something in here to stop it from moving forward again so it's not loose, and then we'll crank the tie rod end nut down, and it'll hold it nice and solid for us. So I'll get that hogged out. There's not enough room for everybody underneath this tractor, so I'll get it hogged out and get a picture of it. Alright, so that's what we got. We slotted it out, and now the tie rod will move back farther, effectively shortening the right side tie rod, and it's going to be as much as I can do. It's not crazy critical that the tires are perfectly straight. I just wanted them a little straighter. The other thing we could do is we could loosen this side, take this side off, and effectively make this one longer, and what that'll give us is our total toe will be correct, but the steering wheel will probably be off center. I don't know if you're glaring out there, or that's probably better there. Anyways, that's what it is. What I'm going to do is I'll put the tie rod in there, and I'll take a bunch of pieces of TIG welding rod, steel rod, and I'll jam it up in the front here, filling up that hole so so it doesn't move. Other option would be, I don't want to do it underneath here. If I had the steering gear off, what I could do is put a washer on the top and the bottom, the same size hole as the tie rod end. If I put a washer top and bottom and move them to the back, and then I could weld the washer on, and what would happen is that would locate it back there, and it would basically create a round hole back here. Anyways, this is what we're doing. We're going to move on. I want to get this thing wrapped up. On to the next thing. Okay, so we got it back together and back down on the ground. It's hard to see in the camera because of the angle of the lens. Those wheels are pretty straight now. Again, not a critical measurement, but on grass it doesn't matter. It's not going to destroy tires or anything like a car would if the alignment's out, but it just steers easier when it's straighter. Deck is back on, the belts are on. The mechanism to lift and lower, it went down okay, but coming up was real crunchy and bindy. But we lubricated everything, so it's real easy now. Push that lever down to the ground. The weight helps you put it down, and there's two big springs that help you lift it up. Slick, one-handed. Works really good now. So the blades have been sharpened and balanced. The belts on the deck are good. All the spindle bearings are good. The deck is decent. Everything, all moving parts have been lubricated. Now we have to move on to that breaker. So what I found earlier. See, it's easier to see it from the back. There's a breaker here. The connections in here are a little corroded, so once in a while it doesn't want to start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these off. These just basically, if I can do it one-handed, maybe not. These basically just shove onto those studs of the breaker. So I'm going to cut these little boots off, and I'm going to put some little ring terminals on there, and we'll get it secured on there better. And we'll tidy up the wiring under here. These are the springs that are the lift assist for the deck. So you can actually, this is a finger hole. So you pull this, and then you can actually get that spring off of there. I'm not going to do it. Well, maybe I will. Just pull it back, and then you can release the tension on it. That's pretty handy, actually. Because without the deck on there, when you if the lever is down and the springs are hooked up, without the deck on it, if you push that bar, the handle just slams to the top. Those springs actually do a lot of the lifting. So, alright, I'll get in the stand and I'll start hacking and shredding at that wiring and get it fixed up and more reliable. And then I think after that, I think it's time for a bath. We drag the pressure washer out, get her soaked down with some spray nine. Once it's clean, I got some paint. I might just touch that up a little bit, make it look a little better. Alright, here's what we're going to do. A little bit of rust in there. Doesn't look so nice. So, actually this wire is way too long, so we'll cut that back a little bit. Cut her off. Strip. And we'll crimp a connector on it. And this one's nice and short already, so we'll just cut just the boot off. My arms are in the way there, you can't see, I know. And strip. You guys probably got a better view than I do. You're sitting lower down there than I am. Can't even see. Oh, okay, that one's stripped. I believe this breaker is part of a kit that was available for these older machines. The STX had an issue where the starter solenoid was not getting enough power when you turn the key. So what was happening was it wasn't pulling the solenoid in far enough to start it reliably. So I believe they came out with a kit. What you did was you installed a relay that ran straight battery power to the solenoid when the key was activated. So the key activated the relay, and the relay activated straight like battery power through a bigger wire directly to the starter solenoid, and made it work better. Okay, so ends are on. This is our breaker. Dealing with breakers, guys, I know there's two different colors. They're not always two different colors, but there's usually a battery side, an auxiliary side. Let's see if we can see it. Might be able to. One says bat, one says auxiliary. So the battery side is here. Yep. Oh no! I just remembered the other end of this wire is no good. Oh poo! I'm gonna take that whole wire off and change that whole pigtail. But it is hot, 12 volts hot. So let's keep it away from anything steel. Well, we can get this side on anyways. This is the auxiliary, so that goes to the load, whatever you're trying to run with it. Machine screws. I'll have to get the wrench, tighten those up. And because they're exposed, I'm going to tape the heck out of this thing. Just so it doesn't touch anywhere. Because once this wire is hooked up, this will be live. So touching here will arc it out. Alright, so I'm going to change that pigtail out because the terminal on the other end out the battery is actually... this wire is only holding on by a few threads, so we'll change it out, and hopefully that'll solve our intermittent start problem. Okay, so the new terminals are here. I made a new little patch wire from the battery to the breaker. This is the old one. You see there's not much left on that wire. Well, that ain't gonna work. The whole idea of this wire is to put nice strong battery voltage right to the starter. I don't think it's just coming right apart. Anyway, that's where we're at with that. Let's tape this booger up. Those boots that were on here were nice in a way, in the sense that they covered the 95% of any open metal parts, so it wasn't going to short. So we're just going to wrap the heck out of this thing, and I'll end up zip tying it to the rest of the harness so it doesn't flop around. I think we're good. The terminals are covered. That's good. Actually, shortening that wire made a big difference here. So after I'm done under the seat here, I'm just going to zip tie that stuff together, leave it accessible so it's like right there. That way we can work on it, or the next owner can. I went ahead and I cleaned the battery terminals on the cable, and I'm just snugging it up right now. And then that little repair is done. Whatever we needed to do is done. Okay, battery cover back down. I think it's bath time. Well, there we go. We give her a bath. Mechanically she's sound. The blades work fine. The PTO is nice and quiet now with no rattly chatter when you engage it, since we fixed that pin. Tires holding air, the alignment's better, runs mint, tuned up, electrical's fixed. This one is ready to go. Thanks for joining me on this video, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the bell icon if you haven't yet. Get notified when I upload new videos. Until the next one, thanks again for joining me. Take care.